On September 8th, a devastating incident unfolded in a suburban home, forever altering the lives of a family. At 6:20 p.m., 33-year-old Colin Turner found himself locked in his garage, trapped by his wife, Bree Christensen, after a heated dispute involving their 3 children. Desperate, Colin called 911, hoping for assistance.
Sheriff's Office emergency.
Hi, you guys have been out to my house twice today, and then most recently the deputy talked my wife into letting me in the house, and then she locked me in the garage and tried to break my arm when I was trying to get back inside. And then when I tried to
What was that?
You just shot me!
Oh, got the shooting with somebody that keeps driving. She just shot him.
Day began with tension in the Turner household. At 12:53 p.m., Bree, a high-ranking U.S. Navy officer, dialed 911, reporting a disturbing incident. She alleged that her husband, Colin, had pushed her against a wall and thrown her to the floor during an argument.
Emergency. Hi, can I have a police officer come to my house, please? 6184.
Okay, what's going on?
My husband pushed me up against the wall and threw me on the floor.
Okay. Does anyone have any weapons?
No, there's guns in the house.
And what's your first and last name?
Bree Coon. I don't want him to take my daughter.
Okay, give me one moment so I can have my deputies on the way, okay? Don't hang up.
He's trying to take my daughter, Bree told the dispatcher, requesting police assistance at their address, 6184. She mentioned firearms in the home, heightening concerns. Officers were dispatched immediately. Upon arriving, police encountered an unexpected scene.
We talked to you guys separate. His daughter, if I go inside, when we go inside, talk to you.
So, she called you right now because she figured out that I want to take my kids to my parents' house in Georgia. More for me, I guess, me to have a break from her. A little bit of backstory. In March, she tried to, after she was inpatient, then she was outpatient group for a while. She got kicked out of that group. So she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder in March or April. Got kicked out of her first therapy group, got kicked out of her second therapy group, and she skipped her last 2 individual therapies.
Colin expressed concern for their children's safety, citing Bree's unstable state. He noted that she had cut him off from their credit cards, as she was the primary breadwinner since his early retirement from the Navy. Bree's high-ranking position provided the family's main income, which Colin suggested gave her a sense of control. He denied physically assaulting Bree, admitting only to attempting to take their daughter the previous night, which led...
I can't stop you from taking the little kids because they're yours, but if you take my 12-year-old, I have press charges. From all the credit cards she has control over, she's the primary breadwinner in the family.
4 hours later, at 5 p.m., Colin called 911 again. He reported that Bree had locked him out of their home.
my wife has locked all the doors and said I'm not allowed to come in. So I'm outside with my daughter screaming that she wants to go inside and I can't.
His 12-year-old daughter from a previous relationship was also in the house. Colin reiterated Bree's mental health issues and his intention to take the children to Georgia. He mentioned that Bree had taken his photo ID and access to money.
My photo ID, all my access to money and everything.
Okay.
And then took the kids inside and locked me out. So I've been locked outside in the driveway
Okay.
for the last couple hours.
Asserting his right to enter. He described Bree's actions as manipulative, including telling their young children that police are coming to save us because daddy hurt mommy. The deputy spoke with Bree, who offered a conflicting account. She claimed Colin wanted to take the kids to Georgia amid divorce discussions.
Got wanting a divorce, and he said if he can take the kids to Georgia,
Okay.
and he can because we're still married.
Okay.
Got into an argument about it. He pushed me up against the wall. He
Okay.
threw me onto the floor in the bathroom. And
Okay.
that's when I called the police
Okay.
earlier.
Bree accused Colin of emotional abuse and snatching their daughter, using her to manipulate the situation. The deputy clarified that, as co-owner, Colin could legally enter the home, even if it meant breaking a window, though he discouraged property damage. Without evidence of physical harm, Bree showed no bruises, and Colin denied any assault. The officer could not intervene further. Bree reluctantly agreed to let Colin inside, and the police left, unaware that the situation was about to take a deadly turn. At 6:20 p.m., Colin made his third 911 call, this time from inside the garage. He reported that Bree had allowed him into the house after the second police visit but then locked him in the garage, attempting to break his arm when he tried to re-enter. She broke both of the big doors earlier, Colin said, explaining that he had gone to the garage to fix them, only for Bree to lock him in again. As he spoke, the call took a chilling turn.
What was that?
You just shot me!
Dispatcher heard multiple shots, 4 in total, before the line went silent. Colin stopped responding and the dispatcher urgently alerted all nearby units. Police raced to the scene, arriving within minutes. They found Colin in the garage, lying in a pool of blood, deceased. Forensic teams began processing the scene while officers secured Bree, who appeared dazed and in shock. She immediately admitted to the shooting, saying, "I killed my husband." Bree confirmed that their children were safe with a neighbor, and officers verified this, finding the 12-year-old visibly distraught, possibly having witnessed the incident. The 2 younger children seemed unaware of the tragedy. Bree was taken to the police station for questioning. Her initial confession on body camera was compelling, but detectives needed a formal statement, especially given her status as a Navy officer. They aimed to establish a clear timeline and motive, wary of potential legal defenses. However, Bree's story shifted during the interrogation. She claimed self-defense, alleging that Colin had assaulted her by pushing her against a doorway and throwing her to the
pushing me up against the doorway. He threw me on the ground and said nobody would believe me because I was a crazy bitch.
kill her. Bree's account was inconsistent. She had no visible injuries and the 911 audio painted a different picture. Colin was calm, describing being locked in the garage when the door opened and shots were fired. The recording captured 1 shot, Colin saying, "She just shot me," followed by 3 more shots seconds later. Detectives pressed for details, how many times she shot him, where she got the gun, why she had it, but Bree grew evasive. She questioned why police hadn't arrested Colin earlier, shifting blame to them, and eventually refused to answer further, demanding to speak to her father and a lawyer. In a call with her father, Bree admitted, "I killed my husband," but offered no clear reason, failing to confirm that Colin had threatened her. Her inconsistent narrative and lack of physical evidence weakened her self-defense claim. Detectives concluded that after the second police visit, Colin had entered the house to retrieve his belongings. Bree locked him in the garage, and when he called 911, she returned with a firearm, shooting him 4 times in the back as he spoke to the dispatcher. In September 2024, Bree Christensen was convicted of first-degree premeditated murder. The prosecution argued that Bree's actions were deliberate, citing the 911 audio, the absence of injuries supporting her self-defense claim, and her history of controlling behavior, such as destroying Colin's laptop and cutting off his financial access. The court found that Bree had trapped Colin in the garage, retrieved a gun, and fired with intent to kill, leaving him no chance of survival. Bree was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The trial highlighted the couple's strained relationship, exacerbated by Bree's mental health struggles and the pressures of her high-ranking Navy role. The death of Colin Turner is a heartbreaking example of how unresolved conflicts can lead to irreversible consequences. Share your thoughts on this case and its implications for addressing domestic violence and mental health.